So I talked about this last week when it comes to Shannon Sharpe. I predicted everything that was going to go down with him resigning from ESPN. Well, we won't say resigning. People are saying it's too soon. Again, y'all don't want to listen to me. It's fine. With Shannon Sharpe stepping down or taking a leave of absence from ESPN. We talked about Stephen A. Smith and the difference in tone between what he had to say about Shannon Sharpe and what he had to say about Jay-Z. Two totally different things. And it sounded like Stephen A. Smith was alluding to maybe this might be it for Shannon Sharpe. Well, once Shannon Sharpe finally stepped down from his position at ESPN and said he was going to be back at the NFL season, Stephen A. Smith had this to say. Let's go ahead and look at it.
Let's get to the latest news, and it's involving Mr. Shannon Sharpe, who announced yesterday that he would be stepping away from ESPN, ESPN's First Take, my daytime job, at least until the NFL preseason sometime later on this summer. As you may recall, a lawsuit was filed against Shannon on Sunday by a woman using the name Jane Doe, or using a Jane Doe pseudonym. The 13-page complaint filed in Nevada alleged that Shannon Sharpe committed assault, sexual assault, battery, and sexual battery. Shannon and his attorneys responded with evidence of the relationship being, quote unquote, consensual. And Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, responded by releasing audio of an alleged conversation between his client and Shannon. For those that don't know,
it was nasty.
Tony Busby is the same attorney that filed the lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy, alleging they both...
Again, doesn't matter. I don't think it's relevant at all. It's annoying to me that people keep doing this. Let's take it on a case-by-case basis. Just because I believe Tony Busby is a POS and the scum of the earth does not mean he can't bring forward a reasonable case, a winnable case. And as you have heard from me on multiple occasions, I believe that that's what he has here in this case. But we'll see what Stephen A. Smith has to say. I'll leave a link to this video in the description for y'all as well.
Sexually assaulted a minor, which has since been withdrawn. Jay-Z has now countersued Busby. Needless to say, the headlines this week took on a life of their own, and as a result, Shannon announced he was stepping away from ESPN. Here's a portion of Shannon's statement that he posted on social media. Quote, "I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason. I sincerely appreciate the overwhelming and ongoing support I have received from my family, fans, friends, and colleagues," end quote. It's been a difficult week from,
I bet,
a sports media perspective, certainly as it pertains to First Take. Shannon Sharpe became a friend. When I recruited him to come on board on ESPN's First Take, he came on board and he did a sensational job. No matter the amount of success that we enjoyed for the 12 years prior to his arrival,
he wasn't there long either.
He helped take it to another level last year.
Less than a year.
We're doing our thing this year as well. And so when the news came down that he and ESPN had mutually agreed that he would need to come off the airwaves of ESPN, it was a blow to the show, a blow to me personally, because I'm gonna miss him. But it was not a surprise.
We knew this.
When I was on,
we saw this in Stephen A. Smith's first response to this. He knew what was coming. He had his head down. He had his shoulders all the way in a terrible position because he knew what was about to happen here. And we could see it coming. Happened right on time. On the Thursday, I thought it was going to be Friday, ESPN said, yeah, we agree with Shannon Sharpe stepping down. And this is just the beginning, because we're going to talk about later, Shannon Sharpe is looking like not only is this affecting his career as a commentator on ESPN, but it also might be affecting what he was trying to do with his YouTube channel, because a lot of y'all might know with YouTube, getting the views and everything is great, but a lot of the incentives you can get are from getting sponsorships. And it's certain sponsors, depending on your brand, they might want to sponsor you, they might not want to sponsor you. Now Shannon's brand is taking a little bit of a different shape, and he's viewed in the public eye in a different way. brands might not want to work with him as much, but we're going to talk about that in another video. No, he is not married.
But it was not a surprise.
Neither one of these guys are married.
When I was on the air just a few days ago, a lot of people were looking for me to say something. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to speak to one's innocence or one's guilt about something I have absolutely positively no knowledge of whatsoever. Do I believe that Shannon Sharpe is guilty of what he has been accused of? Absolutely not. That is my personal opinion. The brother that I've come to know, I don't believe would assault or rape anybody. And I'm going to state that emphatically. But just as emphatically, I'm going to remind everybody it is my opinion because of what I feel about him. Not in any way implying that I know a damn thing beyond that, because I don't know.
I love how Stephen A. Smith, he's just putting it out there saying, hey, guys, I don't know what happened. This is just how I feel. With Jay-Z, he said, I know for a fact that this did not happen.
I've seen the text messages released by his lawyer,
Lanny Davis.
who, by the way, I don't think has been impressive in this at all, because
Thank you.
Some of the information that was let out to the public, I have no idea why a lawyer would advise such a thing. But
I said the exact same thing. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith, man. We're on the same page. I said the same thing. I said, I don't know what Lanny is doing. This is not helping Shannon Sharpe, showing these text messages coming out. And then they don't give the context of the text messages. Because I guarantee if you don't show if you showed the context, it's like Shannon Sharpe said, why don't you show the full video? Shannon, why are you just pointing out the text messages that this lady sent? Huge mistake. And then Lanny came out and doubled down and said, yeah, Shannon Sharpe, that's not an AI generated phone call. The audio is real. And Shannon Sharpe was upset. Like, what is he doing? His lawyers.
It's a different subject for another day. And we're allowed
I made a
to
video about it too.
From an opinion perspective, what we believe and what we don't. So long as we concede that we have no way of knowing definitively what the truth is. What I can speak about,
Shannon could tell you the truth,
is the fact that this 3-time Super Bowl champion and this Hall of Famer, who emphatically stated to me over the phone how innocent he is of these allegations that have been levied against him.
I believe him.
Insisting repeatedly that anything you read, anything you see, anything you hear was fully and totally consensual.
Well, I don't know about that part.
In the same breath, what's inescapable is that without us knowing all the merits, he was working with Disney, where I've worked since 2003, excluding my departure from 2009 to 2011, when I was gone for those 2 years. Outside of that, I've been at Disney since October of 2003. I know this place. I know the worldwide leader that is ESPN, who's under the umbrella of Disney. And it wasn't difficult for me to figure out what was transpiring. As I sit here before you today discussing this matter, ESPN and Disney have a wait and see attitude when it comes to whatever evidence they may learn about this entire situation involving Shannon Sharpe from a legal and from a civil perspective.
How do they have
what they didn't need as it pertains to those two things that I just mentioned? They didn't need any definitive evidence at this particular moment in time about all of that stuff once all the things Shannon Sharpe's lawyer put out there.
Yep. And again, this is something that I mentioned to y'all. This is something that we talked about. With Shannon's lawyer putting all that information out, we know so many things about this situation are true, and so many things that were said in the complaint filed by Tony Busby were true. We know they were in a relationship. Shannon Sharpe said that. We know they were participating in some different types of adult activity, right? We know that to be true. So when you combine all of those things with Disney And with ESPN making a calculated decision on whether it's safe to move forward or not, you can pretty much take everything that Shannon's verified, everything his lawyer put out, everything his lawyer said Shannon did, and that is enough for Disney to say, it's not worth our time. We're good on this, Shannon. We loved you, but you got to go. Which is why it doesn't make sense for them to bring him back, because this one hasn't been the first time Shannon Sharpe's been not only accused of this, but had an issue with people in the workplace. And then two, Shannon Sharpe admitted to so many things being true in this claim. It's just him saying, well, it's not what it looks like, guys. And when it comes to you having a brand, when it comes to you having a business, you want to have and hold a certain type of standard, especially ESPN. We've seen they let people go for less. We got Paul Pierce. We've got Michael Irving. We're going to hear from Michael Irving in another video. It's tough to see, and I'm surprised Stephen A. Smith isn't taking more of a stance on this, that how ESPN's really going to see it. So I'll say ESPN is going to see this as not worth their time. They're going to wish Shannon good luck, and they're going to move on to the next thing. If Fox, knowing what they knew, we're not willing to work things out, we're not willing to try and keep Shannon there, what makes you think that ESPN's going to say, we'll just let it slide again for a third, fourth, fifth time? Come on, man. Let's be real, Stephen A.
It was uncomfortable to listen to, and it was not something that Walt Disney wants associated with its brand.
Exactly. This is it right here. He said it was uncomfortable to listen to. It's not something ESPN wants associated with their brand. That tells you all you need to know. Shannon Sharpe is not coming back, guys.
So to
I don't know why we're
have him on the airwaves
having this conversation
while all of that stuff was put out there was not something that Disney was going to take.
Facts.
That is what I mean when I say I am not surprised.
Wow.
In getting to know Shannon Sharpe, I know a lot of things that he has articulated that he has been through in his life. I can't imagine too many things in life tougher than what he's going through now.
That's true.
And there's a lot of people out there talking a lot of smack and a lot of stuff about him. You will never hear that from me. It will not happen. I don't give a damn if we speak a day from now, a month from now, a year from now, years from now. He's my friend. And it's always going to be that way.
Oh, Stephen A. Smith's a good friend.
I'd say the same thing to you about anybody else that I know to be my friend. I don't have to work with you. I don't have to be around you. I don't have to be around you all the time, talking to you all the time, to have love for you and to wish you the best. And that's exactly what it's going to be for him. I sincerely hope that all of this goes away and we find there's a bunch of falsehoods to these allegations, and he's able to come back in this industry and do what he has been doing, which has been phenomenal.
Not at ESPN.
I hope Club Shay Shay and Nightcap and all of these other things that he's associated with, that he continues to thrive in his life and move forward. And whatever mistakes he may have made along the way, I'm not talking from a legal or civil perspective, I'm talking about in his eyes or that of others, whether it be moral or something else. I hope that he corrects whatever he feels he needs to correct and he moves forward.
But it ain't gonna be here. Somebody said in the chat, they said, why is he talking like he's dead? Yeah, it's over. Stephen A. Smith knows that when it comes to ESPN, this is, you can't recover from this. He's already admitted to saying and doing certain things. It's not a great look for them. We're going to talk about that later, too. But in the
process of doing all of that, I hope we're all reminded of a few things. And this extends far beyond a Shannon Sharpe or anybody else. One of the things that we need to remind ourselves of is that in this day and age, very few things are private.
That's true.
In this day and age, there's very few things that won't come to light, because most things do.
It's true.
But thinking beyond, Shannon, thinking beyond myself, just thinking about the world that we live in terms of the podcast stratosphere and everything like that. A lot of people want to walk around thinking you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You could your own operation. You don't have to answer to anybody. That's not true.
It's not.
I've had people open their mouth and they've said, Stephen A., you work for ESPN. What kind of control do you really have? This is my podcast. This is my YouTube show. I own this. But if you think for 1 second that I could just do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and there's not going to be any repercussions, you're clueless.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm glad that Shannon started his own platform just because there's a lot more leeway, and he'll still be able to get sponsorships. He'll still be able to get people viewing and wanting to see him on his own platform. But with certain things happening, you can and possibly will limit yourself. We've already seen that. As I mentioned before, my guy Anton Daniels put out a video about it yesterday. It's looking like Shannon Sharpe already may have be either on hold or have lost some of his sponsorships on YouTube. So even though you had the ESPN thing that was going great over on the YouTube side, you have that, right? Obviously, YouTube has some people who are way worse people than Shannon Sharpe that are on the platform. But if something happens with YouTube, you might have some issues there. If you're not able to get the sponsors that you want to get, you might have some issues there. So this is going to, unfortunately, not be something that ends quickly. Hopefully Shannon can get it figured out. And I think Stephen A. Smith sees the writing on the wall. He's talking a lot about him moving forward. He's talking like the relationship is ended. And as I've stated here before, it seems like that's going to be the case moving forward as well. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat.